I used to play quite a lot of Warhammer, and I still play a fair bit of Warhammer from time to time, and if you don't know what that is, it's a tabletop game where you have small models, you paint them, you build them, and you play with them on a board. One thing I used to imagine when I was a lot younger was I'd love to have holographic projections of the figures that we have projected onto the board and play the game as normal, except each of the figures would have a little animation that they'd play when they attack, they'd die in certain ways, and I'd be able to see them move and I could look at them and interact with them in that way. This was of course a fantasy. That technology did not and does not exist. However, since me being a child, there's been a development in a certain space, in something we call virtual reality, in which this is actually somehow possible. And there's a game on PSVR2 that I've covered before, but not in its own dedicated video, that I played a bit of yesterday that I really feel like talking about now, because that game is Demeo, and it fulfilled the childhood dream that I had of seeing board game and tabletop game figures come to life. Because while Demeo isn't Warhammer and isn't a sci-fi tabletop game, it is the closest thing we have, for now at least, to D&D in VR. You take on dungeons with your friends, each of you fulfilling different roles with different classes, with little tabletop figures, fighting against enemies, playing cards, and most importantly for the child in me, seeing all these attacks and movements play out in animations on the board. Demeo has so much under the surface that makes it feel so fluid and makes it feel like one of the best VR games that I've actually ever played, let alone a tabletop VR game. And after playing a good couple of hours yesterday, I am just thoroughly impressed by this title. I really am. So, let's finally talk Demeo.
So if I went here...
Oh yeah. You've got to hit though.
No! No! Oh, I'm actually so... Oh man, come on now. What the fuck was that, wizard?
Let's start off with the visuals of Demeo, because this is actually one of its strong suits. Surprisingly, for a game that focuses so much on small tabletop stuff, the game visually looks really good from far away and up close. It runs a native hertz, meaning no reprojection, and that's exactly how we like it. So every movement is very fluid, and visually it's so crisp. The art style here is great. And if you ever heard of Demeo before, you know that I'm not telling you anything new. However, I do want to bring my view of appreciation to this game fully. Moving on from the visual side of things, which in my opinion is pretty much as perfect as can be for PSVR2, the actual interactions here are also great in the way the game actually plays. As you move around the board, you can pick up and look at any model you want as if you were on a real tabletop, lift them up to your face, turn them around, and it'll also neatly show the stats of each enemy or friendly that you've got, whether they have any status effects on them, what they're immune to, and what they can do in terms of attacks, which is just such a cool idea. The details on all of these creatures, and even on the maps themselves, look stunning. It's one of the games where Mura just disappears for me, and I just get lost in this world, especially with the fact that you can expand your view and take in the entire map at the scale of the figurines on it. That's one of the coolest things about this game. Demeo is seriously impressive in this regard because the movement is Gorn style movement, so you grab and pull where you want to go, but if you grab with both hands and pull together or apart, you'll expand or contract your view, meaning you'll enlarge the world around you or make it smaller into a smaller tabletop, and it's absolutely genius. You'll see me doing this a lot during the background footage of this video because I really just enjoyed zooming in and out, appreciating the details, seeing how the scenario that we're in would look at the scale that the characters are at. It's seriously cool stuff.
That's really not good. That's really not good.
What the fuck is that?
It's a sentinel.
And this is all to do with just looking at the game. Actually playing it is just as fun, managing your deck of cards, opening chests and getting gold around the map to get more cards, and playing them down with really satisfying haptics. Every single thing in this game has some really great audio cues and good haptic cues to go along with it. Whether it's getting damaged, whether it's your character drinking a potion that you feel in the sense controllers, or whether it's thumbing between your different cards that you can play, all of these have amazing haptic feedback in the sense controllers that make Demeo feel as polished as it is. There's a lot of care that's gone into this port, and it's very clear that there has been. You can also play, of course, with other players. Demeo is a social game at heart. I was playing with Ninja and Spuddy. Shout out to those two guys. They were so much fun to play with, and I can't wait to play more with them. And honestly, I couldn't do these videos really without them in terms of these multiplayer games, so big up you two. But honestly, playing with other players is great. They show up as masks around the map that you can see. You can see exactly what they're picking up, what they're putting down, where they're looking, and what they're interacting with. It feels like they're just there with you at the table. And if I remember right from what Spuddy told me, this game is also flat screen, making it hybrid, and that makes VR games all the better in my opinion.
If you lift him up berserk, it means he can move further and attack twice, 1 bonus damage. What I'm good at.
Great. Interesting.
And finally, let's talk about the quests that you actually take on. These can last well over and into an hour or two, but you can save in between each level and come back to it, so it's not really that limiting in how long you're stuck in there. But we blasted through one of the original campaigns and really enjoyed it. It consists of multiple dungeons that you clear until you find the boss room, and then you clear that. Honestly, the gameplay loop is so fun and rewarding, and upgrading your characters you go through, getting higher level, getting good cards, and when those cards pay off in moments where you make really good plays, that's what gets you hooked. It's so good.
Yeah.
There you go. You can just grab your character and like make him float now.
Oh, so I can just what? So I can.
You just put him in the sky. You can just like lift him up.
Oh, cool. Nice. That was sick.
The key seeks the
We did it, guys. We did it.
I think the only aspect of Demio that is missing for me is an engaging RPG story that you find in Dungeons & Dragons. However, that could all be rectified fairly soon, because Resolution Games, who make Demio, have now been hired to make the actual Dungeons & Dragons VR game. I am so excited for this, because if it brings any level of in-depth immersion like D&D playing in real life does, it's going to be a phenomenal game. And I know Resolution are the people to pull it off if this thing is actually going to happen and happen properly, which I believe they can do. So I'm so excited for that. Anyway, this has been my PSA on Demio. Please go and check it out if you haven't already. It's such a good and fun game, especially with friends, or go and queue for randoms, because that's also a fun experience. I've done that before. Anyway, hopefully, if at the time recording this actually comes true, there could be a state of play soon, maybe tomorrow. If there is going to be one, I will probably be live streaming it. So come on in and join the stream if I am streaming, because apparently there's a Metro VR game on the way, which I'll be incredibly excited for. Anyway, that's my PSA. Go play Demio. Keep an eye out for a stream in the next couple of days or so, and I'll see you all in the next video.